Hello guys, welcome back to yet another episode on Youth Inc. on Youth Plus Radio. We are passionate about inspiring youth and building conversations around that. My name is Malino Chieng and I will be your host for today. And now, let's get to it. To invite our guest of the day, one man who I consider a jack of all trades, Joe Gachira. Yes, Joe.
Yes, Marlene.
Karibu sana.
You need to qualify that. Is a jack of all trades and a master of all.
Amazing,
But
amazing.
thank you, Marlene, for
Yeah.
having me. It's a pleasure being here
Karibu
with you
sana,
today.
karibu sana. How are
Asante.
you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I hope I'm dressed for the occasion.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, you're looking good yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Asante.
so much.
Yes.
So when I look you up on social media, I
Yes.
mean, your CV says a lot.
You've been stalking me.
Yes, I've been stalking you. I definitely had to. And so I would do an injustice to actually introduce you.
Yes.
So kindly tell us who Joe is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Joe Gachira. I'm a man, obviously, as you can see, and I'm a husband to one wife who is female.
Yeah.
And I'm also, it's important
Yes,
to
it's
mention nowadays. Yeah, and together we are blessed with 3 kids. Jewel, who is 6, Kenya, who is 4, and Jari, who is 6 months old. Yes, so that's me as a parent, but I'm also a leader, an entrepreneur, and many other things I do alongside that.
Okay, so Joe,
Yes.
tell us about your journey, where you grew up, matters school, and all. Tell us.
All right. So I grew up in Ngong, which is one of the towns here in Kenya. And I schooled at St. Elizabeth Academy, which is in Karen. That's for my primary school. And later on, I went out to Upper Hill School. So if you know the geography of these schools, you know they are along the same routes.
Yeah.
I mean, so I usually tell guys for like almost, most of my growing up life, I only knew Ngong Road, from Ngong to Karen, and, Upper Hill School is in Upper Hill. So I kind of saw all these Eastlando things, Buru, I kind of didn't get a lot about Eastlands guys and Thika Road guys as well. But that's my upbringing. But what I can remember growing up is that I was a very enterprising kid. And my folks were really amazed at this kid because for me, from a very early age, I was very business oriented. In fact, at some point I was like, I mean, why do we have to go to school? Can't we just, if we can get the money, why do we have to go to school, then get employment, then get the money? If you can get the money all together in a direct line. And so for me, at a very young age, I began to do small things, just organizing kids around the block, selling sweets to them. I remember one of the things I used to do is I noticed, especially there were some ladies who were expectant, and I noticed it was such a hassle for them to go to the market. And I told them, you know what, every Saturday I'm going to be coming around getting your shopping list, and then you send me to the market. Then when I bring you your stuff, you pay me a small commission. Now, I don't want to betray my age, but in those years I was growing up, being given an amount like 200 was really a huge amount. And of course, through that, I built up savings. Sometimes at the end of the term, I would call all the kids together in the hood and do a small bash, buy them sausages and chips and stuff like that. I used to go to the market or to the malls, get stuff, come and sell it, at a premium, at a profit. So that was me in primary school. In fact, one time I got into trouble, at my primary school because it was partially boarding and, so I was one of the scholars. And I decided, hey, these boarders are really struggling. Let me come and sort their sugar issues. These guys need some sugar. And so I used to sneak in some sweets. And one day I was caught. And actually during that period, my dad was also a teacher in that school. You can imagine. So I was given a lecture. The principal did her thing. And then my dad took over. But that really didn't kill my entrepreneurship spirit. So moving on to high schools, I remember there was a joint in town called Blue Mag where we used, that's the time the CDs were coming on. So we used to chomea guys music on the CDs, nenda nazo mtaani, and I sell them to guys. So growing up really, I really tried to balance education and also being a very enterprising kid. And I guess that's the genesis of my entrepreneurship journey.
Okay, so now Joe, we've seen growing up, you are such an entrepreneurial person, child rather. You're the kind of people who used to sell for your fellow classmates, sweets in class, mini and all. And of course, for someone to get somewhere, you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So what has been your journey, let's say, after high school?
Yes.
How did you maneuver in this harsh streets?
Harsh streets of Canairo.
Yes.
Well, so after high school, remember I mentioned I had been saving some tunes.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, what do I do? And those years, we used to wait for 2 years before actually you're admitted to campus. So I got a very good grade. And yeah, so I got into the job system and I'm waiting to be admitted to Kenyatta University. But then I have 2 years, so I'm like, what do I do? So the first 3 months, I was like, man, there was one of my mom's friends who used to have a supermarket. I said, let me go and help them, sort things out. Just around Ngong town, so that's what I did for around 2-3 months. And that was really, I got some really key life lessons there. I didn't go to work because I was lacking in anything. I just wanted to experience that work life. But when you're working in a supermarket and these guys who arrange stuff, guys assume you're there because you're needy, and so guys kind of look down upon you, the way guys talk to you. So that really taught me a lot about the human mind and how, just the status and how other people are perceived by other people who seemingly think they are doing better in life. And that really taught me a very early lesson that, despite and in spite the levels that God will take you, it's not ideal to despise anyone. Because we're in the business, God is in the business of people. And so that has to be our equal mandate as leaders. And so that 3 months was really interesting because I used to come in very early, leave very, very late, and I was so tired. Kuna mtu atasema, you need to help me carry this stuff to the stage. Then I'm a small boy. It was a hassle.
Yeah.
After 3 months, I was like, so I raised enough money, plus what I had been saving throughout, and I enrolled myself to accountancy college. So I just came to and this is one of the things my dad kept telling me before he passed on. He's like, I never understood where you got the money, because I just went one day and told him, I've enrolled to accounting class to do CPA. Yeah. He's like, what? And then the rider to that was, and I don't expect you to chime in even a single shilling. Yeah. He was confused. He was like, okay, let me then support you to pay the fares and all that. If you've already, and I had sorted fees for at least two semesters. Can you imagine? So that was me. So I got into college. I did CPA 1 and 2. After doing CPA 2, my dad said, okay, now you need to get a bit of experience in the workspace. Yeah. So my dad had been part of an organization in the early years and said, hey, there's this guy who I helped get an internship back in the 70s. I guess it's time to return the favor. And because now you have the papers, let's go to him. So we walked to town, and there was this place called Transcam. And I presented my papers, and the guy said, okay, you're good to come in as a finance intern. And so that is where my employment journey began. So I went into Transcam as a junior accountant, and I had the most amazing, it was such a tough place to work. It's such a busy place. It was then a very small enterprise, but I was part of the team that really helped it grow to over now, I think, 10 plus branches all over the country. And that's another long story altogether. So I began working there as a junior accountant. And yes, tukaendelea kutoka hapo. So a year and a half later, I'm admitted to campus, but because nishaanza kuenjoy the
fruits of the labor.
The fruits of the labor and the money in the pocket. Although those guys were struggling by the way, at the way, guys come to campus and they're struggling, they don't have money. Me, I'm already sorted, I'm working. So the first year I really didn't attend class because I was trying to juggle between, actually I think the first and the second year. I'm trying to juggle between going to work in town and also coming. But then it helped because I was admitted to do a Bachelor of Commerce in accounting. So a lot of what we were covering then, we had already covered in CPA. So for me, it's just like, I used to go to class, I'm like, I know that, I know that. Yeah, so that was kind of easy. Yes, but then at some point I had to now really focus on my education. So I think around the second year, then I stopped working there. Okay. And yes, I began concentrating on my studies.
On your studies,
yes.
Amazing. And I love how the aspect of entrepreneurship really comes out. And you're even saying that while other people are suffering, you were balling, like you had it all together.
And it continued in campus.
And so what would you tell youth? Because it's more of a youth-centric conversation.
Yes.
What did you tell the youth who are like outside here? They're like, "Hakuna do, manzi," you know.
Hakuna do.
Yes, hakuna do. But
For
you,
me, yeah.
but you over here, you're like, you know, when back in the days,
yes,
I was balling while other people are.
I mean, and forgive me if I come out as arrogant, but I don't take it positively or very lightly if somebody says, "Hakuna job."
Yeah.
What do you mean? There are opportunities all around us.
Yeah.
I think what you don't have clear is the methodology towards, and for me really, how do you identify a space to make money? The fundamentals, and this is how we get it wrong as young people. All of us want to make money. As part of a program by ALX, and guys have signed up to do all these tech courses, and guys were asked, what is your motivation to sign up? And guys said, we hear guys in tech are making a lot of money. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. That's a good motivation, yes, but it needs to be a secondary motivation. It needs to be a byproduct of you actually identifying a need in society and fulfilling that need. And then from the impact, one of the byproducts you get, of course, is a network, and also the money also comes with it. Eh? So if you focus your mind that way, then you realize very quickly that there are multiple opportunities to make money. Just go around and look, what is not working. I mean, people are in the business of paying other people to help them fix things that are not working. So if you focus your mind on being very alert and figuring out what is not working, then you're in the money, you're in the business. And so for me, all my businesses, and there are many, how they've started is that, and I'll maybe tell you one or two stories as we go on, but it's about identifying a need, identifying a gap in the market, and then seeing how do we profitably solve this need. That is what business is all about. It is not about making money. If it is about making money, you'll be so frustrated and you'll be out of the game and very depressed in a very short time. Yes.
Well, habari ndio hiyo, dear youth. And so accounting really comes out in your conversation.
Yes.
Accounting.
Yes.
And so we see that you're in accounting, like you're a jack of all trades again. We see you're in
and
accounting. Yes, and a master of all. Thank you.
Don't forget that part.
Yes, I will not forget again. And so you're in accounting, you're in analytics, data analysis, and all, like literally everything. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So you're in accounting, and then you go into Inuka.
Yes.
Inuka Leadership Africa.
Yeah.
And so how is it that you can navigate through all this? I mean, yes.
Yes, that's a very good question, and I get that a lot. So you need to understand that you can even run 20 things. I don't know if you've heard about a concept called the cash flow quadrant. Have you heard about the cash flow quadrant?
I'm here to learn.
So what it says is, it's a quadrant. So it has 4. So you can either be employed. So it means you are the full mercy of your employer. Akisema it's 9 to 5, you really have no option but to be there 9 to 5. Higher. The second one is self-employed. And the third one is a business owner. Now let me tell you the difference between the two. If you're self-employed, let me just ask you.
Yes.
Now I'm the interviewer. What do you think is the difference between a person who is self-employed and a person who is a business owner?
A person who is self-employed.
There are no wrong answers. I'm also a teacher, so.
To be honest, I feel like it's one and the same thing.
It's one and the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't get any differentiating
the difference.
factor. Yeah.
Self-employed
10
and
points, 10
business owner.
Yeah.
Self-employed. I don't know. I feel like self-employed is more of people are under you, and then a business. To be honest.
Okay. Let me save you the pressure. So if you're self-employed, it means you and the business are one thing. So if you're running a business today, and this is to the young people, if you're running a business and you can't go on holiday, because if you go on holiday, the business goes with you, and if it doesn't, biashara imefungika.
Yes.
That one means you're self-employed. But a business owner is somebody, it's more or less the same thing.
Yeah.
The only difference is this business owner has set systems and structures to make sure that they're irrelevant, that I can decide to go to Dubai on holiday, but the business is still working. I don't have to keep calling. And the difference between the two is a function of, number one, systems and structures. And many young entrepreneurs actually don't see the need because we always see our businesses as small. And so you don't see the need to introduce systems and structures. And that's a very dangerous thing. It is said that things don't go wrong, they start wrong. So even if you're running a business where you're just selling two things, you'd better put those structures in place as young as the business is. Then the other thing is number 2, get the right people. I mean, I cannot be everywhere every time. I mean, this Youth Plus Africa, and I have the privilege and opportunity to have seen it birthed. I was in that conversation, that table. I mean, if Freddie Muli didn't get the likes of you guys to come alongside, if he has to be the one to sit here and sit there, this thing is not going to fly. So how do you put the systems and structures? Then how do you also identify the right kind of people to be able to support that system? So that's pretty much to answer you. That's what I've done. So everything I do, I make sure I have the right systems and structures, and I get the right people to occupy those seats so that I don't have to be in every business. I mean, I just get monthly reports, weekly reports. I don't have to be there. But what is key to me is what I have to be there running. And for me, that's my passion, which is leadership development. So all these other careers, like accounting is my career, but my passion is leadership development, which is now how Inuka comes into place.
Yeah, amazing. I love what you've said. Your profession is accounting, but then you have a passion for leadership. So you are in accounting. What is this thing that sparked you to start Inuka leadership?
Good question. So when I was in Kenyatta University, it was around that time that, now I have to say the year end, which is fine. It was around the same year where we faced the post-election violence in Kenya, 2007. And the statistics were very saddening because it was the young people who are used to actually propagate this madness. And you'd think it was young people from slums, and do you know a vast majority of them were actually guys in campus? It's guys who have brains, but because they're not enough opportunities. If somebody promises them, I'm gonna give you 500, 1,000, they overlook everything else they know and every value they carry, and they say, let's pick this money and let's run with this agenda as much as it doesn't build. And so that is what the politicians did. You know, they took these young people and used them to propagate the kind of madness you saw. And so one of my mentors called Gibson Anduvate, who's now a bishop at ICC, together with other friends, came up with, you know, once we were back to semester, they were like, man, how do we begin to train these leaders in campus, how to live a value-based kind of, and really to discover their purpose and potential, so that they're not misused by other people who would have agendas that are not in line with that. And so they started this leadership course called Ascent. It started in Nairobi University, then came to Kenyatta University. So I was among the first cohorts. And man, we went through like 8 weeks of serious leadership training on how what it means to be a young leader, and how that finds expression in our societies and in our spheres of influence. And man, that just lit a fire within me. I was like, it can't stop here in campus. And so after we cleared campus, you know, me and my co-founder called Pete Karaoke, were like, how can we continue with this conversation? And we had a conversation with Gibu, who is one of our advisory members and a very dear mentor and friend. And he said, yes, I'm going to support you guys to continue with this narrative even outside. And the idea of Inuka was birthed. And pretty much the vision here was, how do we raise a generation of transformational leaders and entrepreneurs? And the word transformation here is to say, how do we make sure that Marlene, after going through our hands, is effecting the right kind of change in whatever sphere of influence? It might be business, it might be entrepreneurship, it might be employment, wherever you find yourself. It might be even in your community, it might be in politics, that you stand out and you're able to hold on to those kind of values that are true to, you know, what an integral leader looks like. And so that's pretty much the journey. And so we said, what does it look like? What do we need? And so we quickly put together a team, and then we began to offer these 10-week trainings. You know, and some of your team members, Nyawera, Freddie, have all been part of the program. And for me, it's amazing to see the kind of impact these guys continue. And every time I turn on my TV and see the impact these guys, and there are many. Right now we're talking about 700 plus having graduated through our programs, and over 10,000 trained in other programs that we do. You know, so for me, it's really the impact and seeing how these guys are actually beginning to effect change in the spaces God has placed them. And I dare say, we pray that one of these days, and you've seen some of them go into politics, and one of these days, we pray that even the president of Kenya would be somebody from Inuka. So if it is not me, because I also have political ambitions, I hope that one of our other guys in our system,
Yeah.
you know, get into that space.
Will carry on.
Yes.
Amazing. And so you guys are celebrating more than a decade in
Yes, 10 years.
Inuka. Yes. Congratulations on that.
Asante.
And but I know it just didn't start at 10 years.
Yes.
What were the early years like?
Yes.
Yes. What were the early years like?
Where?
Yes.
Where? That is a place for where? Ebu sama where?
Where?
And then you sip some water. Ebu sip some water.
Where?
Yeah, because the first years are where? Let me tell you, you know, one of the things I later came to, because, and I think it's good we're having this conversation, so that people can learn before they get it.
Yeah.
I almost suffered a very bad form of bitterness. You know, you always wonder, why are people not supporting me? Why do people not see what I see? But later on is when I got to learn, there's nobody who will ever be as passionate about your vision as yourself.
As yourself.
And once you learn that, that becomes very freeing, because you're like, okay, me, I'll do what I need to do. If they decide to support,
Yeah.
they'll find me doing.
They'll find you doing it.
But you cannot say, I will stop because I'm not getting any kind of support. So you can imagine these are two young men, we have a vision.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we have money, but it is for our bills. But we have no money. This is an organization we are forming. We're thinking registration, we're thinking running ops. Let me tell you, it was chaotic. Just the first days trying to get buying from people, trying to get people to understand what you're doing. But I thank God we got somebody. So in one of our conversations, I had this campus roommate called Johnny Celeb. So Johnny Celeb is like, I know your heart for leadership. And I also know, I was in another conversation with another gentleman. And he was like, how do we raise more leaders?
Yeah.
I was like, where was he coming from? That was around the time where, you know, the choppers were being brought down in Kenya
yeah,
and MPs
yeah.
dying. Oh, it's like all the good leaders are being taken out. And there was this, you know, theories that
Yes.
they're being taken out. We don't know if there were accidents or not. So I was like, how do we raise more leaders? So me, I'm coming from a different mindset, but all of us want to.
Yeah.
I say, take me to the guy. And so the guy was Mose. So Mose is one of the co-founders of Kubamba. Kubamba, who do missions in high schools and stuff like that. And so when I sat down with Mose, he was like, man, like that, you know, it was just a sweet spot.
Yeah.
It was like, let's do this thing. Even we begin next week. I was like, it was serious. So he said, I'm going to give you everything at my disposal. So I gave him the plan. He's like, what do we need? We need a venue. We need to do money for snacks and what. And then our model was to use integral leaders who have proven themselves to come and speak as 30% of the program. He said, okay, I knew, because I'm in the media industry, I know a few of these guys, so I don't mind introducing you. So Mose was a really integral part. So Mose went and talked to Mamlaka. They gave us a venue. This is like a week later, which also speaks to the power of networks.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, sometimes it is a network who has all the money you need.
True.
But because they don't know what your heart is all about, they'll never support you. We cannot support something we don't know about.
Definitely.
So we get a venue very quickly. Most quickly took me around we went to Ashirawaruru, Juligishuru. In like a couple of weeks, I met all CEOs. I'm like, oh my God, you know, guys you see on TV.
Yeah.
And they're committed. They're saying, we are going to come for that program. Julian Kula, that's how we met. He was like, this is amazing.
Yes.
Then, of course, I done the curriculum with my team. He said, how do we get the first cohort? He said, we ran a Bible study. Come announce it in town. I came announced, we got the first 18 guys.
Wow.
And they came into the class. Man, that was amazing. We executed that thing, and the impact was humongous. Within a very short time, everybody in town was like, how do we
plug it?
At some point, we were getting more than 1,000 applications.
Wow.
You know, so it just grew organically.
Amazing.
Because guys were able to see the value that you're bringing to the table. And we had the right kind of networks.
Yeah.
So this is much later. But initially, you know, I'm the one to give money for printing the handouts. I'm the one to buy snacks.
Yeah.
You know, at some point down the line, Moses was like, hey, can we come and umbrella you guys under Kubamba? You know, and help you sort some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, so at least I was given a van to move around.
Amazing.
You know, again, networks.
Networks.
You know, that time I'm still doing an accounting job. He said, hey, do you mind actually?
Yeah.
It will be easier for you. And I'd already, so the program was happening on Tuesdays. So I'd already started getting in trouble with my employer because it's like every Tuesday, you're not around. And so in Afikadaro Tuesday, I'm frustrated. Moses is like, why don't you consider come working with us? So that you're able to kill, you can still continue with your accounting job, but still you can pursue your So talk of destiny help us. And so at some point I transitioned, and now that became a very nice way to continue.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. And so far you've been able to impact 7,000 7,000 youth.
10,000 plus.
10,000 plus youth.
But again, 600, 700 plus have graduated through our programs.
Amazing. And you have a vision to reach 5 million youth.
1 million. We have a program you're saying 1 million leaders.
1 million leaders.
Yes.
Okay. And so this is a vision for 2030.
Yes.
Yeah, and considering the inflation that is happening, everything. What do you think about that?
I'm laughing because I'm in a group and somebody posted a picture with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he asked there, what is stopping you from taking such pictures? And the reasons guys give. You guys are saying inflation, attacks from neighboring countries, just funny things. But really, our vision, I don't think is would potentially be curtailed by. In fact, now that things are getting harder and we are seeing inflation and all those things you're mentioning, I think that's even a greater call for us to move with even more impetus, because it means the challenges are increasing, and so the world is in dire need of solution give us to these challenges. So the more leaders and entrepreneurs we need to raise, continue raising, to be able to speak to these issues. So for me, I see that as an opportunity.
Awesome.
Remember what I told you about entrepreneurship? It's about seeing a need. So things getting harder, for me, I see an opportunity there for me to be a solution.
Everywhere you go, try finding a job. It's a CV with experience for 5 years, 3 years. And, but where do I get these networks that would actually have me do away with CVs or something,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really good. In fact, I've done an entire video. If you go check out our Inuka Leadership Africa page, you'll see I've done an entire 2-part video on networking. Because me, I believe, and it is true, your network is really your net worth. There are some things you'll never achieve if you don't have the right kind of network. And the truth of the matter is this. I was reading statistics the other day, and they said, do you know 70% of the jobs are never advertised? Can you imagine?
That's sad.
Well, it is sad, but can also be a good thing so that you align appropriately.
Yes.
70%. It is guys who ask within their network, hey, because first of all, nobody has a budget to shortlist 1,000.
Exactly.
So if I want, for instance, a communications expert, I'll just come and ask Nyawira, do you know somebody? And please, do not confuse networking for lack of capacity. I'll ask, do you know somebody who has the capacity, but who is known to you? And that is what happens. There's a lot of cross-referencing that happens. So 70%, so the jobs you see advertised is only 30% higher. So what does that mean? You need to work on 2 things. Number 1, being the best at what you do. Then number 2, having the best networks. That is a sweet spot that will guarantee you success. Let nobody ever lie to you. You can be the best at what you do, but nobody knows you. There's no need again to be the best kept secret. Atunakanga unasema, you know me, I'm the best communications, but we don't know you. So how are we going to engage you towards a productive end? Then number 2, have the right kind of network. So when talk about networking is really, even me initially I used to think, this is such a complicated sport. Like I have to go to networking events with business cards, with suits. This is so, no. But then I came to discover networking is just about exchange of value. So you go, and I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday, and he mentioned something very interesting. Everybody has a grid. Figure out a way to satisfy their grid. So my grid might be, how do I reach 10 million youth? And you have a program, you say, if we partner, I will help you.
Reach the 10 million.
No, reach 2,000 out of the 10 million. I'll be like, we're in the game. And so the idea is, look for people who you want to be like or you want to connect with, but then come with the value. So that's where your homework is. So by the time you're coming to me, don't be that weird person who writes emails and DMs people, please, I want you to be my mentor. No, I don't have that time. Tell me, I have a solution for you. Then he says, okay, I tell you, fine, I'm willing to listen to you. Let's ride together as I go to speak somewhere. You have 30 minutes with somebody as you drive. And then you begin to cultivate a relationship. And then they begin to see the value you're able to bring. And in the process, you're getting the value that you desire. It's an exchange of value. So I keep saying everybody is willing to take value, but nobody is willing to give value. And so there must be a mind. And I get very disturbed by, especially this generation, Gen Zs and millennials. We are very entitled. So you think because you have a degree, we please, everybody has a degree and masters and PhD. if you but you must humble yourself and go to that level where you say, this is the value I'm bringing.
Definitely.
That will be the only differentiating factor. And so we must learn, especially as young people, not to be very entitled, but begin placing ourselves in spaces where we are giving value. And in turn, we get mentored. And that's the only way. I mean, there's a quote that says, you only see further by standing on the shoulders. So this pride of thinking you can make it on your own, they are the ones who need me, it will be shock on you.
Definitely.
So let's begin to see where do I get into, which spaces do I need to get into, and what value can I offer so that in turn value is given to me.
Awesome.
Yes.
And so maybe there's a youth pale nyumbani thinking, how do people figure this out? And of
Yes.
course, Inuka Leadership Africa offers this, and it can be a piloting place for
Yes.
people to learn, like let's say, for example, networking, because people, like you've just said, people can confuse networking to literally not not having meaningful conversations, but
Yes.
something like feeling entitled as a youth that I need to, because I have a degree maybe, so if I network with you, it's automatic, you need to give me a chance and all. So how can this youth who is pale nyumbani, is so confused, plug into Inuka Leadership Africa?
Yeah, absolutely. So we in the course of, so one of the things we did, in the spirit of after 10 years, we need to, reevaluate, take stock and see where are we. A lot has changed in the world of work and in leadership and entrepreneurship generally. And so one of the things we did is to take a step back and really overhaul the entire curriculum. And so that's the process we are finalizing now. And we begin our next intake in July. And so guys need to be on the lookout on our social media pages. We're going to, put out this. And guys are invited to come and be part of this amazing tribe. And there are many other courses that you could network with people. As I mentioned, there is Lex, there's others like Centonomy. There's so many spaces, Lapid Leaders. There are so many spaces you can plug into and begin that journey of discovering yourself and your impact, or rather your purpose, as far as bringing solutions to again the issues that plague us are concerned. So please just do your research. There are very many spaces. But for Inuka, we're going to be rolling out our next intake in July. So guys need to be on the lookout for that. There's one program called Pathfinder. This is for students in campus specifically. And then we have one called the Young Leaders Accelerator Program. So Accelerate is saying, we are not taking you from 0. You are somewhere. You are at 5 and we want to take you to a 9. So that's the one for young professionals, guys like ourselves here. Who are already doing something but want to see how do we scale it up to the next level. So those two programs are going to be launching in July.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
And now that accounting is a part of you, definitely, and now that we are in the filing season right now, filing season.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, someone fails to do that. How would someone actually? How will I frame this question? Like, let's say I fail to file my
Yes.
returns. What's my way into a waiver? Yeah. Yes.
You Kenyans, you just like free things. I would flip it the other way around and ask, why do you have to wait for the deadline? I mean, you have 6 months from January to June. But Kenyans are just Kenyans. Last minute.
Let's see these people.
And one thing I can tell you for sure is that KRA is moving out of that. I mean, the president is looking at expanding the tax base. And one of the ways to expand the tax base is to leverage on those penalties and waivers. Especially if you don't have a good reason. Oh, please, we will, and I know KRA is no longer processing waivers. So you will pay that money. You'll pay the penalty. So my advice is, you already have another 1.5 months to figure out your stuff. If you need help with filing, there's some, again, if you go out to one of the organizations I run is called Startup Garage. It is a garage for startups. Just giving tips to startups. And one of the videos, some of the videos I'm doing is on tax filing. Just go check them out and be able to see how to be. You don't have to pay even somebody to do this. Go check them out, do your filing in good time, and avoid being on the wrong side of the law.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've said Kenyans are last minute people. A lot of, let's say, someone who is in the rural place who maybe information has not reached them.
Yes.
What do you guys have to say about that? Would you still call that ignorance? Let's say, for example, someone is in a place where they cannot even access such information, or maybe because I believe someone is not born knowing, they have to learn it. So maybe at same, because in Nairobi we have people who will come and even have a camps at your church or at your school or whatever, but maybe someone who is in the rural area, hajui kitu. Can you still call it ignorance?
Well, as I sit here, don't hold brief for
Yeah.
KRA, but I guess what I'll say is, yeah, there needs to be a lot of sensitization work going on. If I was the DG of KRA, one of the things I'll do is go set up a mobile, not like the way you set up mobile clinics, a mobile nini. Then we say, because you don't have internet and laptops, we are now in this small county in Nyamira. You're going to be here Tuesday to Thursday. Come and we'll do your filing for you guys. Yes. Of course, a lot of reforms need to happen even at that level. And it's some of the recommendations we've given even at the tax summit. Yes, but definitely you just know the government is looking to expand. And so it will do anything and everything it needs to be able to get into that space.
Awesome.
Yes.
Joe, thank you so very much for the rich insights around money matters.
Yeah.
I would put it around money matters and leadership, like everything that entails leadership. Yeah. So what would be your part in short for the youth palenje? For the youth palenje.
Palenje.
Yes,
Na pia hapa
palenje.
ndani.
Na pia hapa ndani. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, both rural,
And
urban, like cut across. What
Absolutely.
would be part
Yes.
in short that would-
Well, I want the youth out there to know that, and I know you're very familiar with these statistics, that 75% of Kenyans are below the age of 30. That's insane. Like if we decide we want Marlene as president, and we come together, we can actually be able to do that. And so I want the youth out there to know that you have power. And we need to apply ourselves to do the needful. Sometimes we really see ourselves as being powerless. And so we say, what is the need to do something yet to just be a drop in the ocean? I want to challenge that mindset today and say that there's a lot of value and a lot of power that you wield as a young person. And that we need to begin to see ourselves as solution providers, as I said. Please, you're waiting on the world to give you jobs. I want you to flip your mindset and say, how can I challenge the world? And in turn be of value, and whatever, like the way Bible says, do this one thing and everything else shall be added. Let's have that mind. Do what you need to do, and the world will reward you appropriately.
Yeah.
So young people, let's wake up. Let's stop snoozing. Let's know that we have power, and let's begin to activate, that power within, towards a productive and making sure that the society as we see it is changing. I mean, wase time hiyo imeisha. It's our time to begin to, and let it be said that when we were in those leadership and entrepreneurship positions, then there was tangible change. You see the way guys keep talking about even Kibaki today. During Kibaki's time this happened. May that be said of us as young people, that we actually contributed to this change narrative, that, for posterity, guys who come long after us will be able to enjoy the fruits of our hard work. Yes.